Okay, time to chat up people again. He was been changing. Glory's pallid face lights up as you approach. A genuine smile spreads across her lips. Aunt May, good to see you. You too, Glory. How are things with you? He pauses for a moment considering. You know what? I'm happy actually. This first time in a long time. And I have you to thank for that. Hmm. Okay, are you ready to tell me about the chrome you're sporting? Be patient, Aunt May. The explanation for that is coming. A look of unease flits across her face. I'm not sure that you're going to like it though. You needed time and I gave you time. Are you ready to talk about fair, fair stale yet? Yeah, Gloria looks troubled, more so than you ever seen her before. Whatever memory she's stretching up must be exceedingly painful. I'm not going to lie, I haven't been looking forward to this. Yeah, it's time. Aunt May, look, I'm about to tell you some things about myself that might change your opinion of me. It's entirely possible that you're going to hate me based on what's coming up next. I've accepted that, and if that's what happens, I sincerely believe that I deserve it. She looks you in the eye, her expression grim. So tell me, are you sure that you want to keep pushing forward with this? Mm, I think it's important. If you, well, you can leave it at that. I mean, but if you're gonna leave it, you would have never bothered really with it in the first place. The relationship would have also been left there. It can never really go any deeper if you don't go through this. So if I had been okay with that kind of relationship, I would have never pried in this. So yeah, this is important to you, Glory. After everything we've been through, I think that we both know that whatever you have to tell me, I'm ready to listen. Thanks, Aunt May. Thanks for being a friend. So, when we left off last time, I had just moved from the streets of Tübingen to the warm, inviting confines of Fairstell. Martha and I were happy there for a little while, and Harrow embraced me as a long-lost daughter. I should probably take a moment to talk more about Harrow. He's going to be an important figure in this story. I don't know what his age was. He seemed old enough to be paternal, but young enough to hang with the kids on something like a peer level. Best guess, I'd say he was in his mid-20s. He was handsome and well built, with a neatly trimmed beard and a thick brown hair. And there was something else about him, something uncanny. Harrow had this charisma, this raw magnetic attraction that just made people latch onto him. I saw it over and over. All it took was a few words and a pat on the shoulder, and Harrow would have a new convert. The other kids at the farm followed him around like lost puppies. As much as I loved Martha and as much as I thought she loved me, we forgot all about one another when Harrow was around. All that we wanted was to be close to him, be, to be a part of his inner circle, and soon enough we were. For a girl of 17, it was all terribly exciting. Harrow had these rules of living that he would teach us, rules about self-determination and the importance of disobedience. He claimed to have taught classes at the University of Berlin, which he painted as a mix between an earthly paradise and an anarchist playground. He told us how Fairstale would be the focal point of a new movement for the children of the fatherland. He told us that we were special. We ate it up, of course, we were kids. For those of us in the inner sanctum, Harrow would share even more. He had power like the likes of which I had never seen. Not my father's drunken fists or my own childish experiments, but genuine, incredible power. He said that it came from the Horned God, an ancient deity that he venerated. He knew about my latent abilities right away and he offered to teach me. Naturally, I accepted. Yeah, I've heard of the Horned God. His followers have a poor reputation, especially among women. Any bad reputation that they might have gained is well deserved. There was more to it than that, as you'll see. Rory sighs. Hang with me, Aunt May, rough waters ahead. So I became Harrow's apprentice. He taught me to channel magic and summon spirits. He taught me rituals and pagan traditions, Machiavellian philosophy and Nietzschean ethics. Above all, he taught me to connect with the Horned God, and through it I learned power and arrogance, and it was all downhill from there. For the next few years I lived in at Forestell as Harrow's enforcer and right-hand girl. I was also his sometimes wife and concubine, but that was a distinction that I shared with all of the girls in the commune, including my beloved Martha. I came to learn that she'd been his long before she met me, but by that point I didn't care. I'd embraced the rules of living. I was Harrow's creature through and through. I didn't ask questions and I walked the path that was in front of me. Other fun facts about those years: I learned cruelty. I had power now and my new idol encouraged me to use it. Harrow did the same. Any children who didn't pull their weight were subjected to my tender mercies, and I was anything but tender. I took what I wanted rather than asking for it. I liked it. It was fun. I also came to learn that Harrow's Horned God was not the Eichenfürst worshipped by throwback cults across Germany. It was certainly a god with horns, but it came from an altogether different tradition. Care to hazard a guess? I want to hear you say it. Satan, Lucifer, Old Scratch. In the magical active community, we refer to it as the adversary. Whatever you choose to call it, it's every bit as bad as it sounds. So my idol, the ancient deity that was feeding me my power, was the antithesis of everything that is right and good. And you know what? I didn't care. In our time together, Harrow and I committed more atrocities than I could count. At this point, I was on to all of his tricks. I knew that Forrestal was nothing more than a honey trap, carefully designed to lure local children into my master's clutches. I knew that the kids who seemed resistant to Harrow's brainwashing techniques would end up fertilizing the garden. I knew that Harrow's entire manifesto was bullshit. And I knew that through it all, Harrow and the adversary were laughing, because I was laughing right there beside them. I don't want to pin the blame for my decisions on anyone but me. That said, I would like to posit that my father's connection to the Krausritters might have held play into my willingness to serve the adversary. In my warped, indoctrinated little brain, I equated the church with evil, so the opposite of that I figured had to be, well, if not good, then at least not totally bad. I was kidding myself, of course. My new deity was the very definition of bad. Serving it made me bad. End of story. Hmm. Uh, we can basically choose where the blame lies, and if her acts are forgivable or not. I think I can't ex I'll choose the I can't excuse the choices that you've made, but I can understand why you made them. I'm guessing in the same sense in if you've heard basically, let's say a husband comes home, finds his wife in bed with another man, and then as a reaction to that pulls out the gun and shoots them in their bed. You can't excuse the fact that he murdered the two people, but you can understand why he might have been driven to do what he did. So it's not a you don't condone the action, but you get what was going on there. Yeah, that's big of you, Aunt May. I genuinely mean that. Ori takes a moment to steel herself and continues on. Anyway, one day Harrow invited me on a field trip to Stuttgart. Over the years that I was at Forstall, the commune had easily doubled in size. It was thriving, all thanks to the efforts of Martha and the girls like her. Harrow would send the girls out to neighboring cities to lure in the street kids that nobody would miss. He targeted children because they were easy to indoctrinate, because nothing makes the adversary happier than the corruption of the innocent. As we drove out to pick up the new recruits, I was already planning ahead. It was a foregone conclusion that I would pay my father a visit. Irony of a group of crowd-critters getting immolated by a genuine servant of the actual devil tickled me to no end. So when Harrow stopped to fill up on diesel, I hopped out of the van and headed out on foot to my parents' place. Harrow wasn't overly concerned about my absence. I had long since reached a point where I could assert my autonomy, and he knew that I'd be back. I wound up at my folks' house sometime around noon. I could hear the adversary whispering in my ear, telling me what to do. I had long since learned to listen to its voice. It always rewarded me with extra power when I did its bidding. It told me to knock, so I did. As the door opened, I could feel a torrent of flames welling up in the astral plane all around me. It told me to channel them into the doorway, into my father, so I did. But of course, the person who opened the door wasn't my father, it was my mother. As I watched her flesh blacken and melt, as I heard her scream and I broke into hysterics, I heard the adversary laugh. And at that moment I realized that it was laughing at me. Yeah, that was pretty predictable. Glory nods, a grim expression on her delicate face. Now thanks, we're almost to the end now. Thanks for sticking with me. It was like a lever had been pulled. All at once, the bubble popped. I wasn't a powerful servant of the adversary, was not Harrow's #1 girl. I was a ridiculous little fool who'd willingly tied her soul to the worst thing in existence. Realizing all of this was one thing, actually fixing it was something else entirely. I knew that I had to get away from Harrow. That was the first thing to do. So I bit my lip and did the best to ignore the happy babble of the new recruits on the trip back to Firestale, and I managed to get through the ride without screaming. Once we were back at the commune, I broke into Harrow's safe, stole all of the commune's resources and ran. I don't know when Harrow realized what I'd done, or whether he even cared. All that I know is that nobody came after me. so I kept running and running until I got to Berlin. Getting past the wall was fairly simple. You know how easy it is to obtain falsified papers. The biggest obstacle that I faced during my flight was the adversary itself. I could run from Harrow, but how do you run from something that's tied to your own soul? Yeah, I have a feeling that I know. The haunted look in Glory's eyes is heartbreaking. She gives you another curt, grim nod. I walked into the office of the first street dog I could find, pointed at all of the biggest, bulkiest pieces of cyberware that he had on display, and told him to put them into me. He tried to upsell me on better merchandise, arguing that what I was asking for was old and inefficient, better suited to be installed in a museum than in a body. He told me that I'd be shredding my essence and that once it was gone, I'd never be able to get it back. I stuck to my guns. After all, shredding my essence was the whole point. Tori looks up at you. Her eyes are sunken and hollow. The aura of loss about her is palpable. She looks like a woman who's been through hell. Yeah, that's all for now, Aunt May. You've heard the tale, you know why I am the way I am. You know the things I've done and how much I have to atone for. If you still want my company, fine. If I've lost your friendship, I understand that too. For now, I need to be alone. That's a nice story. I sort of guessed something in that vein when she told me first time that she was a magic user. Okay. Next. Iger. Iger welcomes you with a nod. Aunt May, what can I do for you? Any thoughts about the last run? After all the moral ambiguity that we've been wading through, hitting Humanis was incredibly satisfying. What they had planned makes my blood boil just thinking about it. I still wish that I could have put a bullet in Saul's spine, but if the fallout from tonight's run is as far-reaching as I think it's going to be, he's probably going to wind up wishing that he were dead, and that's almost as satisfying. Do you trust me, Iger? No. She pauses for a moment, considering. Finally, she nods. Yeah, I do. You've earned that much. I haven't always agreed with your decisions, Aunt May. You've proven your competence. It's only fair to me for me to acknowledge it. Then tell me what happened to your team. This again? Why do you even care, Aunt May? Because it's pretty clear that if you had your way, you'd still be with them, and a good leader places a priority on knowing her team. She slowly nods. Alright, I'll tell you. I suppose that you deserve to know. What happened to us was Hoffman. He was a rookie, the kid of some big money corporate executive. He looked good on paper, and he made it through KSK training, so he was technically qualified to join a team, but he was way too green to fit within ours. Still, he wanted to be a hero, and his family had enough clout to get him an assignment of his choosing. I don't know how many strings Hoffman's daddy had to pull to get him assigned to our team, but he pulled them. Hoffman became our 9th squad mate, despite Metzger's objections. Anyway, flash forward a few weeks. We were closing in on one of the Russian mob's major trafficking operations. They'd been using a series of warehouses 50 miles from the border as a staging area for their convoys. Women and girls from Eastern Europe were being housed there. When the convoys came, they'd be crammed into cargo containers and hauled across the border into Germany. Go to any brothel along the border and have a look around. Chances are you'll find at least a few girls who spend some time in those warehouses. Slovakian, Hungarian, Poles, you name it. The mob has been smuggling them over for decades. But we were in a position to derail their operation, and we weren't going to let our new addition to slow us down. We hit them by surprise, and we hit them hard. Fisher and Brown managed to take down the Banshee that they had patrolling the site. Wolf had reconnaissance drones overhead providing battle tag feeds to the rest of us, and we picked off their gunmen one by one. They had numbers on us, but they didn't know where to hit us, and we had eyes in the sky, and we had cover and concealment. Every time they thought they had a fix on us, we'd shift position and hit them again. They might as well have been fighting ghosts. Then Hoffman broke cover and gave away our position, and after that, all hell broke loose. Wolves went down first. The sound of it will haunt me for the rest of my days. An explosion, a choked scream, and then this long drawn-out gurgling sound. When he died, his drones went down with him, and there were too many hostiles to track without them. I'll spare you the gory details, Aunt May. Suffice it to say that my team was wiped out. Hunger's face clouds again. You can see the tears beginning to well in her eyes. I watched Metzger die. With visible effort, she clamps down on her emotions and calms herself. When she speaks again, her voice is flat. I took 3 rounds myself. Had to drag myself back across the Oder-Nesse line into Germany. I almost died. So, that's the story. My KSK career died with the rest of the team. Our mission was illegal after all, off the books. There was no going back for me, so I wound up here. She looks you in the eyes. Her tone is impassive. Did that tell you everything you wanted to know, fearless leader? Are you satisfied now? Yes, I am. So, tell me, what's your takeaway from my tale of woe? I figure that you got to have one. Well, when Monica died, you blamed me because I was new to the team. But I'm not Hoffman. Yeah, I know. And you're right, to a point. Might have judged you too harshly because of Hoffman, but everything else that I said was justified. Giving you command of this team was a hasty decision, made for the wrong reason. I stand by that assessment. But between then and now, I've been watching you like a hawk. And you've grown, Aunt May. You weren't the right choice to lead before. I still believe that. You are now. Yeah. Dietrich. You really came through for me, boss. You ever need anything from me? Anything at all? You call on me. I'll come running. So how's Alexander holding up? He's a good kid, that nephew of mine. Give him some time and he'll shake Stahl's programming. Might take a while, but he'll adjust to life here in Cross Bazaar. In the meantime, I've found a good home for him. Samuel's agreed to take him in. Yeah, is that why? Samuel's employees have no love for humanists. Most of them don't even like humans. He nods. Best thing for the kid will be to learn through immersion. If he stays with Samuel's group, he'll have no choice but to interact with metahumans. Soon enough, he'll learn that they're no different than anyone else here. First few days will be rough, no question, but he'll make it through and come out on the other side a better man for it. Hmm. Yeah, I'm curious, Dietrich. Why did you switch from fronting a band to running the shadows? Honestly, working the stage was getting boring, boss. Spitting and screaming at the whole world was fine and good when I was a kid, but it just didn't do it for me anymore. The Dragon Slayer wanted me to fight a real enemy, so I left the band behind and I turned to the shadows. He shrugs. I don't know. Guess I figured that that'd be the best way to find one. Yeah, considering current events, I'd say that you're not wrong about that. Yeah, I guess not. Feels kind of daunting, truth be told, but it's exciting all the same. I've been looking for a worthy adversary for a while now. It's kinda satisfying while having a white whale to chase. How long have you been looking for a real enemy? He shrugs. Not too long, ever since I took down the last one. The last one? Of course, I might be able to sit around feeling pleased with myself if I followed the creator or the Moon Maiden, but the Dragon Slayer ain't that kind of an idol. If I'm not drinking, I'm fighting. If I'm not doing either of those things, I'm looking for a bigger, better fight to get in next time. Beatrix produces a flask from his jacket pocket and raises it in salute. It's a remarkably simple code to live by. So who was this last one? Gang boss, a great big orcish bastard called the Wildschwein, led by local chapter of the Horde. I'd had my I had my sights set on him and his for a while. They'd hurt a lot of people and I figured they'd pose a challenge. I wasn't wrong about that, but I'm out in the end. Hmm, yeah. The, we can ask Dietrich about when does your pattern of behavior end, and it's pretty clear. It'll end at a point when there comes an opponent you can't overcome. Well, boss, the way I figure it, it'll end when I pick a fight that I can't win. Yeah. He smiles sadly. Might be this one, maybe the next. It'll be hard to top a great dragon. But that's the way the Dragon Slayer wants it, and who am I to refuse him? Abruptly he turns away. That's enough talk for today, boss. Besides, you got other things to do, I'm sure. And he's getting on with his age. I'm guessing it's not like he's incapable, but this I have a feeling this adventure might be his last. The media tray of the DVD player slides out of its battered plastic case. Third DVD. Track 1, 2042, 0805. I was thinking about Adrian today, not as he was when he disappeared, not as the fabled Dragon Slayer or the big-time CEO of Deal Defense. I was thinking about when we were kids. Well, I was always more of a kid than he was, of course. He's 15 years older than me in a way. He was more like a parent than a brother. Winters pauses, his gaze drops to an invisible point on the table in front of him. So, I was thinking about the first time when we were on holiday. Our parents took us out off the island of Hole to enjoy the beach. I must have been about 5 years old. Adrian was 20. It would be his last family vacation with us. A year later, he'd begin his meteoric rise to fame and fortune. But on this trip, he was my brother, and when I fell out of the little paddle boat that our parents rented and started sinking fast into the Baltic, he was the one who dove in to rescue me. You saved my life that day, Adrian. I love you forever for that. And I will find you. I owe you that much. Okay, 2049 0606. What an old news article that mentions Adrian from way back in 2036. It was printed in a financial magazine called Das Finanzenwesen. One of those chic print-based mags that they produce for the retro crowd. There aren't any clues in here, but it's good to see someone else acknowledge his existence. Okay, he clicks an off-screen button and the image of Winters disappears. It is replaced by a digital scan of a magazine page. SK stock suffers in post-buyout brain drain. In the aftermath of the Dragon Loftbur's hostile takeover of Satyr Group, a continuing brain drain of high-level executives is causing ongoing worry among company shareholders. The company's stock took a major hit when Loftburr deposed former CEO Wilhelmina Graf Benoit last August. 3 months later, long-held power positions within the SKI empire continues to empty as the Dragon consolidates its power base. The most recent casualties of Loftbur's takeover include Alexandra Kobayashi, Matt House Donor, and Warner Harding. Harding stepped into the role to replace Dr. Adrian Baclair, who disappeared under mysterious circumstances 2 years ago. Winters' face winks back onto the screen. So, there you have it. That's what they had to say about Adrian a mere 2 years after his disappearance. My brother, a footnote. Yeah, another corrupted file. Corrupted. It's pretty much the same shit every time. A rattling sound fills the air as the disc grinds in its tray. A few seconds later, the screen fills with text. Dr. Baclair, it is my sad duty to inform you that by unanimous vote of the your position as CEO of Deal Defense will be terminated at the end of this calendar month. Your continued misallocation of company funds to pursue personal agendas cannot and will not be tolerated any longer. This is from 2034. The supervisory board is not unsympathetic to your mental state. The trauma that you endured during your pursuit of the Dragon Firewing must have been enormous, but your continuing obsession with the dragon, the dead dragon I might add, has proven a negative influence on the company and an unjustified drain on the company's resources. The board wishes you all the best in your future endeavors. We have prepared a generous severance package to assist you in this time of transition. If there is anything more that we can do to help you, please don't hesitate to ask. Werner Harding. Yeah, let's ask about the PDA while we're here. Absol calls over his shoulder at the sound of your approach. His eyes are glued to his computer display. Aunt May, Frau Muller should be on her way, but before you go to the meeting site, I have news. Glances at you and his words trail off. Upon seeing the expression on your face, Amsel's voice becomes grave. It can wait. Tell me what has happened. Yeah, some trouble on the U-Bahn. Somebody set up an ambush. Amsel pauses and gives a curt nod. Truth be told, I've been expecting that something like that might happen. I'm just glad that you made it out alive. Now hand over the encrypted PDA. One of the attackers dropped this. Amsel takes the PDA from you and examines it. Yes, I should be able to extract some information from this. Give me a moment. He plugs the PDA into his computer and goes to work. A few moments later, he lets out a grunt of dismay. Well, Aunt May, I was able to recover a file, but unfortunately that's all that I'll ever be able to pull off of this thing. All that anyone will, truth be told. It must have been running some kind of counter-intrusion software. The instant that I gained access, it bricked itself. Amsel disconnects the useless PDA and drops it to the ground. It clatters to a rest of the metal floor. Yeah, clatters to a rest on the metal floor. Okay, what did you manage to pull off of it? A communication file. The audio is all here, but it looks like we've only got video for one side of the conversation. Let's see what we have. He opens the file and a nightmarishly familiar face appears on the screen. Bachmeier? The voice bleeds out from Amsel's speakers, filling the room. Audrun here. What's your status? Bachmeier's image is garbled, but his voice sounds young and eager. Target acquired, sir. You were right. We spotted her on the U-Bahn, just like you said. Probably on her way to a job. As per your instructions, we're gonna try to take her out on her way back. She'll be more valuable that way. More vulnerable that way. Hopefully injured and low on ammo too, but only time will tell. Good man. Proceed as instructed. Will do. Cusman is rigging up an ambush spot now. We'll try to make it quick. The orc with the nightmare face nods. Send me a comm when the job is done, or not. The image on the computer screen dies, Amsel turns to face you. Well, our scarred friend makes an appearance. Aunt May, I suspect that the Green Winter's predictions are coming true. I believe that Firewing is behind this. Under Amsel's patient exterior, you can feel the worry that's eating him. Be on your guard, you and the rest of the team. You made it through this attack relatively unscathed, but next time you might not be so lucky. Yeah, at least we have a name to put on the face, Audrun. That's not all we have. As I was saying when you first walked in, I've been being productive as well. Was able to uncover some new evidence in your absence, and coincidentally enough, that evidence pertains to our scarred friend. You might recall that I said I'd dig into Audrun's skin crafts. Well, I did, and that search has finally borne fruit. One of my contacts outside of Berlin handles the paperwork for private hospitals all across Germany. It's a dull, boring job, but it does have its perks. Amsel pulls open a file on his computer. A medical chart opens up on the screen. As it turns out, our scarred friend's skin crafts were performed at a legitimate hospital after all. Some good news for once. What do they say? Well, they're rather light on identifying information. Our friend's name is listed as Max Masterman. the local equivalent of John Doe. But they do cover his injuries in great detail. Audron's injuries were extensive. He had 2 broken ribs and scattered pelvis. He had sustained 3rd-degree burns over 60% of his body. Most damningly of all, he was suffering from acute radiation poisoning and his body had absorbed over 5,000 millisieverts of ionized radiation, a lethal dose without treatment. Information dries up at this point. We know that he was treated and discharged, but what happened afterwards remains a mystery. He pauses for a moment, studying your reaction. Your thoughts? Hold nothing back. I'd like to hear everything that comes to mind. Well, I'd like to show the picture of the man to the one person who wasn't there to see the orc in the earlier RKSK sniper. It's just a hunch, but I'd like everyone to at least see if they might know the guy. He's probably been part of a military unit in the SOX radiated zone, some kind of operation there. So there's a good chance he also has a history before that in the military. So it's not a. There's at least a chance that our ex-military guy might have had contact with him. I'd like to rule out that if I can. Audron might have spent some time in the SOX. The radiation poisoning didn't happen on its own. Agreed, 5,000 millisieverts is a lot of exposure. Short of basking in the glow of an unshielded reactor, I don't know how he'd have absorbed that much ionizing radiation without spending time in the SOX. Alright, so Audron was heavily irradiated, most likely from time spent in the SOX. What else does this tell you? The hospital couldn't ID Audron. Either somebody covered his tracks for him or he's been living completely off the grid. Indeed, if Audron were a denizen of the SOX, a glowpunk, his lack of identifying information would make sense. Until adjusts his classes. It's a working theory at any rate. So, one way or another, Audron is off the books, either due to living off-grid or a cover-up after the fact. You have another takeaway to share. Well, those burns sound like Dragonfire. They said Firewing burned Audron. Why would he be working for her now? I don't think that Audron is working for Firewing. I believe that he's serving her. On the Green Winter's second DVD, he mentions that there is a cult within the SOX that worships the Firewing, the Disciples of the Cleaning Fire. I believe that Audron belongs to this cult. What's the difference? It also might mean that the Dragon's involvement might not be. He might not be fully recovered in any sense. Or there might be some, or fully in control. It might be that the cult is trying to maybe restore her or protect her. Okay, what difference would that make? In my experience, a zealot is unlikely to shed his allegiance to his goddess, even if that loyalty comes at great personal cost. So to sum up, Audron has probably spent some time in the SOX. It's possible that he even lived there as a member of the Firewing's dragon cult, and he is after you. But I'm still a bit skeptical on that. Do they regularly... Surely the people who live in SLX mostly all have the radiation is there. They have to live with it. Would they bring... Just because someone's been exposed to radiation, would they really bring in the person outside for treatment? I mean, if they could leave, why wouldn't they leave already? Surely there's radiation treatment there if they don't want to leave. If it's some kind of money concern, someone had to pay the bill. So I don't. This might be the reason, but there seems like there are definitely pieces missing here. Someone else is involved. Someone who's providing the resources and the backing here. Amsel pauses for a moment before continuing. In my mind, all of this reinforces one fact. We need to find Vauclair, and we need to do it fast. Agreed. Good. That's all the more reason to gather Alice's fee as quickly as possible. There is a buzzing sound from Paul's wrist, and he lifts his hand to look at his PDA. And as luck would have it, Frau Muller has arrived. Best of luck at the meeting, Aunt May. Remember, this is urgent. We need that money. Yeah, I'm on it. Yes, we'll go to the meeting. We do need to talk to people in the actual town too, so... But... I guess we'll go to the meeting first. Although, it's not like it's gonna disappear if I go wander around, so... Might as well go wandering. We could afford a better deck. And the problem here is, as I think I've said, the Fuji Virtual X is not all that big of an improvement over the Renraku Kraftwerk. It is an improvement, but only the main improvement is that you have one extra program available and evasion is increased by 1. So the improvement is minor at best. There's some minor health improvement too, but it hasn't been a problem in any of our decking jobs. I wonder if I should get rid of the straight 09 drone and buy a Sundowner. Classic cover drone can support the team with both medikits and concussion grenades. The thing is, I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. Does it have some kind of an infinite supply of things, or is he just using my items? You can see the problem. If he's just using my items, he's not really all that useful to me. He has some kind of abilities on his own that don't require me to constantly buy new resources, and that's a proper support drone. We'll have to test this, but we're not going to do it now. What I'm going to basically do is save by the drone, go into... well, I'll test it off screen, I suppose. That way, because there's no guarantee of there's no guaranteed fights. So at test, I might have to play quite some time into our mission before I get a chance to test it, and I don't want to load after that anymore. The reason I do want to test it instead of just buying one is that it's 2,500. So if it turns out something that I don't really want, that's a significant chunk of money down the drain. I can't really afford that. One thing I will be buying, probably some kind of a better armor. Taking combat role. Movement speed, biotech, intelligence. Intelligence decking. Yeah, decking, drone combat. So, Golden Boy or combat medic armor. I think we'll take this +1 decking, +1 drone combat. A combat medic armor isn't bad either. Intelligence, movement speed, biotech, all abilities I'd like to have. I guess we'll go with the Golden Boy. Good protection and bonuses to the abilities we really want, decking and drone combat. So crit armor is armor +1. This is armor +6 plus decking and combat drone. So yeah, it's quite a bit better. It looks just fine. How much money do we have? I don't know. The armor is, I think, a worthwhile purchase. Kami puts away her calm and grins at you, a puckish gleam in her eyes. Hey pal, I missed you. Got any new stories for me? Was wondering whose stories around here are worth listening to. Well, that's classified information, chummer. If you stick around here a while, you'll figure it out soon enough. In the meantime, a little tip to start you off. I personally like chatting up the old guys. They've always got some great stories. Yeah, I'm sure they leave just to talk to you. They sure do. One of the guys, Shraddy, he just lights up whenever I come by. He's always got something to say, though it's often about the same stuff over and over again. He just needs to tell people about what he's working on. He seems like the kind of guy who could live a hermit's life, but to me it's obvious he needs someone to talk to. Maybe it helps him work, I don't know. So also I'll talk, if you can get him to shut up about his coffee for a minute. So what's the story there? Well, he's taking up residence as the official Turk. Stereotypes and everything. Spy master, coffee brewer, outsider. It works for him. He had to make some sort of living here in the Kraus Bazaar, you know? He's not He's not got a trade skill. He's not goblinized, so he couldn't hang with the Beckenbauer. If he opened a normal shop, he'd be ousted by someone thinking he's stealing their job because he's not German. The coffee shop was a good option because it's obvious. He stays exotic and does what they expect of him. with the intel and stuff. She pulls absent-mindedly at some hair in her face. Sorry about the intel dump. It's not really useful information. And you probably guessed anyway at this point, but you asked, so yeah, you've been a real doll. Gotten way too much information out of me though. I'll see you around, yeah? One look at Bliss's face is enough to tell you that something is gnawing at him. He stands beside his table, playing his coffee with a coffee spoon. Hoi, Aunt May, what you need? Any luck with the search? Yeah, actually, I made some headway for the first time in a year. I've got a solid lead. I thought I'd looked everywhere. Between my contacts and myself, we scoured all of M's old hounds, both in Meat Space and in the Matrix. But what I never thought to do was dig for clues in my own cyberdeck. It seems so obvious now, but back then I couldn't see it. I mean, she was running from me, right? So why would she leave any breadcrumbs for me to find? Anyway, I did some housekeeping and I discovered something. On the morning that Emily disappeared, some information vanished from my cyberdeck as well. She did a good job covering her tracks, but I can see the signs. She grabbed the file and ran. End of story. So what kind of data we're talking about? No idea, Chief. I grabbed it on a lark when me and Emily were goofing around in the Matrix. The file was encrypted all to hell and I never could get it to open. I only took the damn thing because she told me not to. She said that security would be too tight, and that I'd get myself killed. But I waltzed on in there and took it all the same. You should have seen me, Chief. It was a thing of beauty. I don't think I've ever seen as much on my A game as I was that day. So, where did you take this data from? A corporate database, you know? No big deal. Okay, which corporation? You know, no one important. Blitz continues smiling at you for a few seconds, then looks away. I stole it from Aztech Technology. A tinge of red curls into Blitz's cheeks. He shuffles his feet. In hindsight, it might not have been the best of ideas. Yeah, you think? Yeah, I guess. Emily wasn't too impressed either. Our only really big fight was over that stupid file. Anyway, time passed, eventually we made up and laughed the whole thing off. Or at least I thought we did. Truth be told, I forgot all about it until I realized that the data had gone missing. Okay, so the love of your life took your encrypted file and bailed on you. What are you gonna do about it? I don't know, Chief. This whole incident has me rethinking a lot of things. What if, what if she took the file to protect the Azis? What if she's with them? I got to admit, this has me worried. I'm even more torn up now than I was before. He meets your gaze and you can see the concern gnawing at him. I don't know what to do, but I'm open to suggestion. I think, yeah, there's two options. Either she has some connection with the Aussies, or she was protecting him by basically getting rid of the file and just disappearing at the same time. Might be both. A combination. Yeah, you've got a direction to look in now. If I were you, I'd get back into the Matrix and find her. You know, who am I kidding? You're right. Won't be able to stop thinking about this until I found her. So I might as well keep trying. Thanks, Chief. You've been a huge help. Okay, we are clearly pushing him into a direction that will cause trouble. So I'm doing this with the full understanding that if and when trouble finds him, we're going to have to back him up. We're responsible for him doing this in the first place. So we have to cover his backside. Yeah, let me know how it turns out. Altuk smiles at you from behind the counter. Welcome back, honored Effendim. How may I serve you? Apparently, in no way. Maybe we should have a. This might be a. We've basically, for 2 campaigns now, had to ignore everything magic related. It might be an interesting thing to do another playthrough with a very different type of character, see if it makes much of a difference. In the first campaign we played Deadman's, which I don't think it would make a huge difference. Naturally it plays differently and you have a few extra options, but in there it was more of a... You had few different options which to use to get past a problem, and they were basically split between different character builds. Different character builds have to pick different options. With the Dragonfall expansion, might be a bit more meaningful. It might not be. Anything new with you? Weapons. We don't use weapons. Okay, I'd like to sell stuff. We have these weapons and things like that we are not going to be using. So, just give me the cash. A secure clothing. Not really a grenade user. Don't really use drugs. Might want to buy more repair kits and kits. That's a nice chunk of cash. Brings our money supply to above 7,000. Okay, something I can do for you. Okay. I wanted to hear more about the war. Blaine crumbles and massages phantom pain in his synthetic legs. Damn it, why won't the world just let an old soldier fade away, like MacArthur promised? So where did you serve in the war? Back home with the Finnish Defence Force Jager Brigade. Blaine clenches and unclenches a fist, either out of repressed anger or more phantom pain. His weathered face betrays nothing The Russians thought to come at us from the north as well as the west, through the Lapland, thinking us weaker there. They thought wrong, and the snow was painted pink on both sides of that border. Yeah, I thought there's much I could tell you about the war you wouldn't have learned in school, that you should have learned in school. Russians invaded, hell if I can remember why. The world was more of a mess back then than it was today, if you ask me. They attacked Poland and Finland first. Poland broke within months, opening the door into Germany. I had no contacts in Berlin back then, mind you. Can't really say how bad things were here. I had battles of my own to worry about. Hey, I appreciate the effort you're making, but you've got some big shoes to fill around here. Yeah, Monica was important to this place. You have no idea. I imagine you soon will. Nothing stays a secret for long in the F-state. The flux demands transparency. The truth will always get out, and the truth about Monica's death is now on the breeze, blowing through the streets of Berlin. Next come visitors of uncertain intent. Some may just be bottom feeders sniffing after the leavings of the dead. Others will be hunters looking to exploit a leaderless tribe. Yeah, we're all stepping up to fill the void left by her. The old troll rubs a thumb pensively across his single unbroken horn. You might have something there, if you can keep that group together. There are trying times ahead. Seen it before, too many times before. Anything else you need? No. Hello again, meine Freundin. What can I do for you? Uh, how's Alexander doing? He's adjusting with difficulty. Samuel shakes his head. Your friend Dietrich took a chance in sending his nephew to us. I'll do my best to justify his faith in me. Okay, I think we're pretty much done. So let's go to the meeting, the meeting here, wrap things up. After that, we're going to go on a Shadowrun again. Might as well talk to Zach Flash too. Anything new? What's this? Yeah, that's the hospital. Not too big on cybernetics. They don't really complement what I'm trying to do. Okay. Simi. I'm Aunt Maid. Pleased to meet you, Miss Kim. Which leads to Kimmy, which leads to Simi. Simi Kim is what most people call me. They think I don't know why, but I do, Monica explained. Hmm. How do you feel about Monica's death? Kim hugs her arms close to her body. Sad. She never got to have a family. She'll never get married, never be a mother. Yeah, to me, it seems she was a mother to the whole Kraus Bazaar. Kim nods her head almost dumbly, her eyes unfocused on the ground. Monica said a mother is always a mother, always. She hugs herself tighter and stares blankly at the ground. So, what have you been up to? Girl absently fingers the chipjack on her temple. I wanted to escape with the children and the captain, and we had to get away from the soldiers, out to Austria. But it was wrong, all wrong. I was taking them over the mountains, but it was the wrong way, I know it was. It would have taken us straight into Germany, not Switzerland. We should taken a train, gone to Italy. There we would have been safe. I didn't want it to end badly, so I turned it off. Zach sold me something new. In it, I feel strong. I have a son. He's destined to save the world. I have to protect him, because the machines have come back to kill him before he can become a man. Yeah. I won't let that happen, because in there, I'm strong. Though Kim's words are bold, her trembling voice and body betray someone arching for a fix. Ah. Basically, the simulations are movie plots. Uh, Okay, this is our big important meeting. Set against the frozen cobblestones of the empty park, Frau Muller looks entirely out of place. She suppresses a shiver and hugs herself for warmth. She appears as Amsel described her, an impressive-looking woman of Aslaner descent, with coffee-colored skin and dark wavy hair. Everything about her screams corporate executive, from her expensive-looking suit to her tastefully understated makeup. She's obviously nervous, but she's hiding it well. She locks eyes with you and hesitates only slightly before speaking. Aunt May, I presume. Her Amsel told me that I could meet you here. He wasn't lying. He said that you had a job for me. She holds her silence for a moment and nods. Yes, yes I do. In truth, I'm in desperate need of your help. Tell me what you need, Pro Muller. He offers you a small smile. An assumed name, obviously. I have been told that this is how you people do business. She straightens in her seat and tries on a smile. It hangs there for a second, then fades away. She sighs. From my accent you no doubt infer that I am an Astlaner. Brother, you may have guessed who I work for. Yeah, as technology. You tell me, I'm not in the business of guessing. As technology, the only Aslan-based corporation operating in Germany. I've been with the company for over a decade. Over the course of my employment, I worked on a great many projects. From the innocuous to the obscene, my hands have touched it all. Never once did I question the wisdom of our research. Never once did I consider blowing the whistle on my employers. I kept my nose down, worked hard, and excelled at the task set before me. Yeah, go on, please. Last month, I was transferred here from my home in Tenochtitlan. They told me that an employee of my caliber was needed in Berlin, and that I would be working on a project with wide-reaching applications. The only other detail that I was given was the name of the project, Bloodline. Yeah, catchy. She looks you in the eye, and for the first time you can see the cracks in her composure. She's doing a good job of hiding it, but deep down, this woman is terrified. I've seen many terrible things in my life, Aunt May. In Tenochtitlan, blood magic is commonplace. Take a moment to imagine what that means. In the underground markets, people are bought and sold as chattel. Street children are rounded up and bled like lambs. I witnessed all of these things by the age of 12. She takes a deep breath and then lets it out slowly. Seeing such things, it changes you, makes you numb. But But what I found when I arrived here was worse. This project, it horrifies me, Aunt May, and it must be stopped. Okay, info. She shakes her head. The less that you know, the better, for both of us. You'll just have to trust me on that. You need only know that it is evil, and that is not a word that I use lightly. If you won't tell me what this bloodline is, how do you expect me to stop it? Simple. I want you to bring the building down. The computers, the research data, the mages and the scientists that are working to bring about this abomination. I want all of them burnt to ash and buried in rubble. No compromises, no exceptions. Her tone softens. I'm sure that you have unanswered questions. I'm not in the habit of dealing with Shadowrunners. In truth, I've spent the majority of my career living in fear of you people, but I do know that you are the only ones who can get this done. So tell me, Aunt May, is there anything more that you need to hear from me, or are you ready to make a decision? Why couldn't you tell all of this to my representative? I had to meet you in person to look you in the eyes and see the woman behind the name. Now that I have done so, I'm sure you are the one that I need. Naturally, I will send any further information about the job to her Amsel, provided of course that you accept. What can you tell me about the building security? Expect it to be tight. In addition to their standard security team, as technology has taken out a knight-errant high threat response team contract to protect the building, corporate doesn't seem to mind contracting a competitor for emergency response services. That should give you some indication as to the uniqueness of this project. At any rate, I believe that I've come up with a solution to the knight-errant problem. I'll discuss the matter with her Amsel if you decide to take the job. Okay, I'm not a demolitions expert for Muller. How do you expect me to level up building? You don't need to be. You just need to be a competent decker, which I'm told you are. The facility is powered by a number of on-site generators. There are safeguards in place to prevent them from overloading. In the event of a power spike, the system is designed to shut itself down, but I know how you disable those safeguards. Once the generators begin to overload, you will have a limited time to reach a safe distance. The explosion will be catastrophic. So, okay, how many people unrelated to the project are going to get killed by this? Yeah, none of us are innocent, Aunt May. But if you need to salve your conscience, rest assured that at the hour of your approach, the only personnel authorized to be on site will be security and senior members of the research team, and I assure you, neither are innocent in this matter. If the Bloodline project reaches completion, nobody will be safe ever again. This sounds like hyperbole, I know, but it isn't. Bloodline project will lead to countless deaths. I'm certain enough of this to hire you, despite the fact that doing so will probably cost me my own life. Yeah, I made a decision. I don't trust her really. But it's also, but at the moment I also don't really see any reason to decline it, so I'll take the job. Her face visibly brightens. In that case, it's a deal. I can't tell you how relieved I am, Aunt May. Thank you for helping me bring this nightmare to an end. Yeah, I don't really trust her. That isn't a requirement. We're expecting. I do believe that the job is what it is, but I just don't think the motives are. Maybe at least we have to keep the mind open to the possibility that we're doing something quite different than what she's actually telling us, and the reason that she's vague is exactly because there's a high chance we would not do the job if she went into details. So we'll deal with that when that time comes. I will iron out the remaining details with her Amsel. He'll want to talk this over with you anyway, I'm sure. You're a good woman, Aunt May, saving more lives than you know. Yeah, I think she might have just wanted to meet us in person because she wanted to make sure that this might be the kind of story that my type of person would swallow up easily. Similar to what happened with Monica. We give her a story for a good cause she supports to make her accept a contract that you probably shouldn't be accepting. Anyway, I think we're now done. 19 points of karma unspent. Yeah, that's too much. I'm not going to notify Amsel about the meeting with Frau Muller. We have the U-Bahn AG Chemi Europa mission, and that's been there for some time, so I'm going to do that right now. I think the Aztec thing will probably... We want our other Decker to be there as well. It might relate to the woman, her love of his life. Maybe that's one of the people working there. Something like that. The corp is the same. Maybe the file was related to Project Bloodline. Anyway, we're ready to go. I'm going to do a little bit of testing with the support drone, but I'm not going to record that. What I'm basically just trying to test is how do the medical and grenade supplies work there. If it's something I have to buy, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a waste of space at that point. I can just have a proper medic in the team that will be much more useful anyway. So, but yeah, next time we'll do a Shadowrun.